Meanwhile, one 2020 presidential candidate is now calling Iowa home. We have Marianne Williamson, who's moved to Des Moines, where she has leased a property there. And joining me now, spiritual author and 2020 presidential candidate, Marianne Williamson. So the only thing I want to know about your move to Iowa is the extent to which you're able to be with Iowans day in, day out, and how much you're able to talk about politics there with them. What are you finding?
You know, where you actually live during a presidential season is not that relevant. You live out of your suitcase. So whether you're in Iowa or New Hampshire or South Carolina or Nevada, I mean, it's all about travel. Where your bedroom furniture is really isn't the issue. Wherever you are, you're doing your best to talk to people on the ground about the things that you feel matter most. And that's not only geographical. There are 4 major primary, early primary, and caucus states. So wherever you are, you're just having as deep a conversation as you can.
Yeah, and I'm sure you are. And listen, I've conversed with you right in front of me, too, and I know you're a great talker, particularly one-on-one. So what are you hearing from Iowans when you introduce yourself to them or they recognize you in the street?
Well, people in Iowa, like in the other early primary states, Alex, are very aware of their power. They're very aware of their importance. They know that how they vote in their caucuses and in some states the primaries will determine the political conversation that dominates this country for the next 2 years and possibly the world. I mean, this is important stuff, and they know how important it is. They're educated. They listen very deeply, particularly this year when they're listening to so many candidates. So, you know, it's an honor to be part of the process. And I think that, you know, too many times the traditional politicians tell people what the issues are. And I'm bringing a set of issues that people aren't necessarily hearing from others. I'm talking about the depth of child poverty, poverty in general, hunger in America. I'm talking about traumatized children. I'm talking about the fact that we need to do more than just talk about how to pay for health care. We have to talk about how many of our chemical policies and environmental policies and food policies and agricultural policies make us sick. We need to talk about national security, about the fact that so many of our agendas regarding national security have more to do with defense contractor short-term profits than with actually waging peace. So what I find in voters in Iowa and elsewhere is if you go deep into a conversation, they'll go deep into a conversation. But so much of the traditional establishment is so superficial. My campaign is about talking a little more honestly and a little more deeply than we often do about what's really happening in this country, where we've been and where we need to be going. And what I get from people is that they're so ready to go there.
I'm curious how much you think you're going to be able to do that on the debate stage, because we want to note that you are now we are 4 days away from the deadline to qualify, but you've done it for the first set of primary debates for the Democrats. You're one of 13 candidates who've met both qualifications, making you a lock to be on stage there. So what is the message that you think that you can send and supersede the rest of your opponents in the Democratic field, because you are beating some elected politicians to get to that stage?
You know, Alex, I'm trying to, as deeply, authentically, and honestly as I can, have a deeper conversation about what America really needs to look at. So no matter what the issue is, I want to try to pivot. Can we talk for real, guys? Can we have a conversation that has evolved beyond just the superficial issues and go down into the deeper issues, where America has swerved economically and politically from the best of who we are, from the angels of our better nature, from the moral principles that really form the core of democracy and righteous living. That's what I hope to be able to do, no matter what the topic is that's presented to me, whether it's about economics, foreign policy, issues of domestic concern, what is really going on, and how has this corporatist agenda by which our government does more to serve short-term profits for huge corporate conglomerates as opposed to the people of the United States, the planet on which we live, and even the world itself. Where is that, what's really happened here, and where do we need to fix that so that the symptom itself will be changed?
But I'm curious what your strategy is going to be for a debate. Look, you're on a national platform right now talking to a national audience, and I'm giving you the time to put forward your ideas and potential policy agendas, where you want to go. But a debate's a lot different. Some will be combative. They'll be contradicting you. I mean, what is your strategy for how you're going to deal with this? How do you want to come across?
Well, you know, I want to come across as the woman that I am, and I want to come across with the message that I'm giving. Our country has transitioned from a democracy to basically a veiled aristocracy. Money has so corrupted our system, particularly huge corporate amounts of money, and the money of the very, very richest among us, that the interests of the few are served as at the expense of the interests of the many. That is what we repudiated in 1776, and we need to repudiate it again. Now, it really doesn't matter what other candidates say, whether they agree or not. That's simply the fact. And that's certainly the fact as I see it. And if other people, namely the voters, see it that way as well, they know that they have in me someone who's very clear about that. The reason we don't have universal health care is because of profits for health insurance companies and big pharma. The reason we don't deal with climate change is because of short-term profits for fossil fuel companies. The reason we don't have common sense gun legislation is because of short-term profits for gun manufacturers. And the reason we have a national security agenda which is so much focused on on endless preparation for war rather than an actual agenda for peace is because of short-term profits for defense contractors. I'm saying it on the campaign trail, and I'm going to keep saying it because until the American people really recognize how deeply corrupting that is and how deeply true it is, then we will not be able to deal with those issues and we will not be able to change them.
2020 presidential candidate Marianne Williamson bound for the debate stage. We're all going to be watching. Thank you so much.
Thank you.